Okay. So I guess there's nothing to it. But to do it, in 2016, I had a revelation about myself. I realized that up until that point, a couple years ago, that I had been self-isolating my entire life. That when I was a kid, I didn't play with any other kids. I spent all day in my own mind playing with Legos, going into the woods, looking at bugs. When I started growing up, even through college, I don't remember a single person's name from college. And I thought that was odd, and I didn't go to any parties. I sat at the front of every class, kept my head down, didn't really meet anybody, just do what I needed to do. And then around 2016, when I was working at a company called Nerdist, I was in what is called a bullpen, an open space with a lot of people working in it, and 10 of my close friends, who became my close friends, were working in that bullpen with me, and I slowly started to realize, up until that point, that what I was doing, my thoughts and my actions and my requests and what got me happy or annoyed, it was not standard. It was not normal. And so I started talking to some of my colleagues like, hey, do you do this? Have you ever done that? Do you think this way? And they started pointing me in some diagnostic directions for my brain. So I went online, I took the tests that I could find, then I took the better tests that I could find from psychological associations, and then eventually in 2016, I got a referral, got professional help, and then in 2016, I was personally diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. So I have autism, and I'm coming to you today like this because I believe that autism is my superpower. I wanted to learn this about myself, mostly just for myself. I wanted to understand me better, how I thought and how I acted better. I wanted to tell those very close to me so they could understand me better and not get the wrong impression from things that I do or that I say. And let's be honest, if you know me and you're watching this video, it's probably pretty obvious that I was put on the autism spectrum, or ASD, autism spectrum disorder, but it was news to me. And I never said any of this publicly since 2016 because I wanted to do this video, what I'm doing right now, in the right way. I knew that if I came out, so to speak, that I would become an example, and that people who already like my stuff that I do might think of me differently or not. So I've spent years, literally, I think about this almost every week, how to do something like this, and I'm happy to say that I am now feeling confident enough to come out and talk about my experiences because I have partnered with a professional organization. So today I'm coming to you with my own story and with the support of AANE, the Autism Asperger's Network. It's a wonderful organization, a smaller organization that works day and night tirelessly to help individuals with ASD navigate their lives, gives them resources, educational material. They're fantastic. And before I even wrote down anything for this video, I had a Zoom call with a number of their professionals and their experts to make sure that I was doing this in the right way, that I was saying the right things, because the last thing that I would want to do is set a bad example. And that being said, I want to make very clear that I consider myself very lucky. I'm very privileged. I have a lot of things going fine in my life, so I know that a lot of people with similar neurology do not have similar experience to me. So I recognize that I'm coming from a place of privilege here when I say what I'm about to say. The whole point of me doing this, well, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this in the first place. I wanted to do this because I feel like if I could be a help, an inspiration, an example, a model for anyone, and it might be helpful for them, then I feel morally obligated that I should do so. This is scary to me. But the cost benefit here is that it might be scary to me, but if I can help anyone or anyone who likes anything that I've ever done, then it will be worth it. So, with the help and the guidance of AANE, this is about autism and how I feel like it's my superpower and how it makes me who I am. And I wanted to share with you just my thoughts about it, and then maybe some little tips and tricks to help you really understand me, or if you're like me, to navigate this a-neurotypical world of ours. So of course I'm not going to go through all my symptomology and how I think and how I feel and all that, but what I really get from understanding this about my own brain is that I can recognize that there are a number of distinct advantages or behaviors that make me who I am and allow me to do the kind of thing that I do. The first is focus and observation. I kind of feel, and this feels weird to say, but kind of Sherlockian with the way that I notice changes in the world, and I'm able to single-mindedly focus down and obsess over little details, become very passionate about, numbers and changes in things, and that helps me write my scripts, that helps me know how best to focus on things, and it really sharpens my mind when I know that I need my mind to do something important. Another superpower that I'd say Asperger's can confer on an individual, and you read this from going all the way back to Hans Asperger's, and he realized this in the children that he was studying, that many of them were very science-minded. They liked evidence, they liked black and white situations, they loved nature and observing things, and that lent itself to them, having more research, science, engineering-based careers or interests later in life, and that's the same exact thing that happened to me. And I don't know why I was always fascinated with nature and engineering and physics, but now I know that my brain has kind of been tuned towards that style of thinking, and I literally would not be able to make the videos that I do for all of you without that kind of mindset. It is this mindset that allows me to do it. But of course, any superhero is going to have some weaknesses, and the main thrust of this is that if I can come out and be of any help sharing my advice, that's what I want to do. And when you're a superhero with ASD, as I guess I consider myself now, you have to identify your kryptonite. Identify your kryptonite. Know how people see you, how you think and feel yourself, and what you can do to better navigate the world. The world is not going to change for you. You have to change for it if you want to get through it efficiently. And if you know me, you know I love efficiency. My first advice is use your past self to help your future self. So me being who I am, I know that I can be somewhat scatterbrained in my passions, this, that, and forget. I forget very easily. So one thing that I like to do is very diligently write down, journal, calendar, interact with objects in such a way that it will help my future self. So if I know that I have a problem with locking the door before I leave, or I have a problem with taking my food home from work, for example, I will put my car keys on top of my lunch in the refrigerator, so I know I must interact with that object before leaving, so I can't forget it. It's my past self acknowledging what I'm going to be doing in the future and helping me out of that situation. I'm sure there are many ways you can harness this. What's helped me a lot is to not just create routines to help my future self, but create helpful routines. So it's natural to create a routine. I love knowing exactly what I'm doing all the time. I like being very scheduled, but if that schedule is just kind of haphazard, like, oh, at this time of day I drink coffee, and at this time of day I'm going to do this kind of thing, it's random, it's not efficient, it's not organized. Harness the organizational capabilities of your wonderful neurology and make it so that navigating a world that's somewhat foreign or alien or uncomfortable to you, make that navigation easier. Another thing that has helped me greatly is for those that you interact with on a daily basis, be honest with them. It might feel embarrassing, and it was embarrassing to me to come out and say, look, this is who I am and this is how I interact with the world. It's very revealing and you feel vulnerable, but in the end, I think, again, cost benefit. You might be initially uncomfortable, but I've gotten so many positive results by telling my friends and family, and they interact with me differently and in a way that helps both me and them. So for example, a close friend of mine, Adam, I have associated misophonia, so I'm incredibly sensitive to sound. It will throw me into a rage, hearing certain sounds, literally. So it got to the point where I told the people that I was working closely with, and they would, they'd come to my office and they'd say, hey, I'm about to open a bag of chips and eat it, so I'm going to close your door for you. It's wonderful. It's so thoughtful and so nice, and those kind of behavioral changes are only possible if you're honest with yourself and with the people that you interact with the most. You can't just avoid everything, even though I want to all the time, especially eye contact. And that brings me to another piece of advice. The world is not going to change for you, like I said. So once you identify and internalize who you are, you need to know, you need to recognize that not everyone's like you. And there are certain societal expectations of human beings in a society. And so if you're not good with eye contact or talking or that sort of social interaction, at least identify the situations where you definitely need to try it. So for example, if I know that I'm going to a meeting or an audition or what have you, I will literally say to myself, internally or externally, look, this person you're about to meet is very important. You need to be aware that you try to make eye contact X amount of times. Make sure you shake their hand. Well, maybe not anymore. I don't think I'm going to shake anyone's hand ever again. But identify the situations you're going to be putting yourself in and what you can do, again, to help your future self navigate the world easier. Well, I know that I need to make eye contact with this important person because that's what they expect of me, and so I'm going to try my best to try that at least a couple of times. And finally, most of us aren't in an ever-changing environment. Most of us are in our homes or our offices or working with other people. Try to make your environment more reflective of you and what makes you most comfortable. I became twice as productive in 2016 after I got diagnosed. I talked to my close friends and I said, look, it would really, really help me if I isolated myself in an office with a door. And they were like, do you need an office? None of us have an office. But once they understood that, and once they put me in an office, my output doubled. My productivity doubled, literally, making because science. Because I was able to focus. I knew myself now. And I knew I get distracted easily, and I want to, crack jokes, and I want to focus on other things. So by molding my environment around my neurology in a very specific way, I was able to help myself be better at the kinds of things that I liked to do. All of these particulars come together to make me who I am. I would not be the nerdy, science-y Thor boy that you see today without my brain, without acknowledging how I interact with other people and how I think. And if any of you watching feel the same way or just want to learn, I think that the first step is trying to normalize your thoughts and feelings with those around you and being honest with yourself and knowing that there's a way forward here if you feel uncomfortable or trapped in your situation. And maybe most importantly, by coming out like this, again, so to speak, I want to show anyone who's ever watched my videos or liked anything that I've done. I've gotten so many comments and emails over the years from people who say they have brains like mine or maybe like yours, and they love what I do and thank you so much. And I've never been able to tell them, like, hey, I identify with that and I identify with you. So above all, I think I wanted to say all this because I want to show that people with autism, people with Asperger's, people on the spectrum are not only what you see most popularized. They're not Big Bang Theory people all of the time. It's not Revenge of the Nerds. And I want to show that autism is a spectrum, right? And I'm sure you've heard that, but it's a spectrum, understand, like the electromagnetic spectrum is. You have radio waves all the way to gamma rays, and in between, only some of the electromagnetic forces in this universe are visible to us. Only visible light, only a small portion of the spectrum is visible to us. And similarly, only a small spectrum of human neurology and behavior and thoughts and actions is most visible to us in society. We only see a small slice in our everyday lives of what people are like. And so I wanted to, by coming to you like this with AANE again, I wanted to make a different slice of the human spectrum more visible, to bring it to light. If any of this was helpful or illuminating, please check out AANE. They're a wonderful organization. They have many resources, and this makes me feel very vulnerable, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So if it helps any of you or anybody you know, I'd love to hear it. Until next time. I don't think I'll do this again next